So what's the latest? Republican Senator Orrin Hatch just went on the record. Senator, nice to see you. Welcome back to Washington.
Well, nice to be with you, Greta.
Well, you guys have gotten pretty busy. The first issue that everyone's talking about is taxes. What do you make of the taxes, the tax situation? We're going to get this done by the end of the year?
Well, it looks like there are going to be a lot of games played with it. Harry Reid's trying to establish that Republicans only care for the rich. Republicans are trying to establish that at a time of recession like this, we should kick over all of the tax relief, because you just don't raise taxes in the middle of a recession or a really tough time like we're having right now. So I think we're going to have a bunch of really feckless votes, and then ultimately we're going to have to conclude that the thing to do is to kick it over for about a couple of years, and that means keep the tax relief alive, and don't increase anybody's taxes, and let's see if we can get our jobs back in order.
All right, two things in that. One is that it appears that no one on Capitol Hill, members of Congress or Senate, I guess Democrats control the floor and when things are brought to the floor, but it seems like the process is being gamed. Not even getting to the substantive issue about whether anything's going to happen, but even the order of votes, when we're going to have votes, and we've been dealing with this, we've known since 2001 that this was going to happen. That's the first thing. The second thing is it relates to the economy, and it seems to me that because the House and the Senate and the White House has not been able to resolve our deficit, is that they've kicked it over to this bipartisan debt commission, and so they're now doing the work for our government.
I don't think they'll get the 14 votes on that debt commission.
But they're trying.
Well, I think they're trying, and the work they've done, I think, is very effective work. I don't agree with all of it, but there's some very, very good suggestions. So is the Domenici group. They've come up with a lot of interesting suggestions.
But does it bother you that we have to ask others to do this instead of? Isn't this the job of the House and the Senate and the White House to do this? I mean, the fact that they have to have a commission, isn't it because they won't face the hard reality?
You're darn right. Look, the Democrats have had 4 years to straighten this out and to do what has to be done, to not have the largest tax increase in history, be popped up on January 1st. Now they're saying, well, my gosh, we don't have enough time and all that. Well, of course we do. Now they're going to play games with it. And I think you'll see one day after another where the Democrats will bring up, we want to make permanent the middle class tax relief, but we want to hammer those who are so-called rich. The problem is there are 750,000 to 800,000 small businesses in that so-called rich that are going to be making over $250,000 a year that they put back in the business for jobs. And they create about 70% of our jobs in this country, maybe as high as 75%. So a lot of games are being played, but in the end, I don't think the Democrats can afford to kick this over and have these taxes hit everybody the way they're about to hit them. And frankly, Republicans aren't going to give in on this, because we know doggone well that the best thing to do is probably kick it over for a couple of years with the relief as it is, and then work it out over the next year or so in a way that will be acceptable to everybody.
Another issue that all of you came back to Washington still is the remaining issue of health care, and that's, I understand that you have filed, with a number of other Republican senators, a friend of the court brief down in Florida.
Well, that's right. We filed a friend of the court brief. There are now 20 states contesting the individual mandate. And frankly, I think you can contest the job-killing employer mandate as well. But the individual mandate, in our eyes, is clearly unconstitutional, because under Article 1, Section 8, the Commerce Clause of the Constitution, in order to have that applicable, you have to have a substantive activity in commerce. This is not an activity. This is forcing people to buy something they may or may not want to buy, and forcing them to buy a certain level of something that they may not want to buy also. If the government can do that to us, or in other words, the Congress can do that to us, then there's nothing that the government can't do to us. So this is a very important set of issues. I also believe that there will be probably another 10 states join it now that the election's over, probably before the end of the year, and I hope that's true.
Well, it's sort of interesting, because it's also, if that individual mandate is thrown out in Florida, or if it's thrown out in Virginia or Missouri or any other action that might be brought, is that will gut the entire bill, because that's the primary funding of the health care bill.
Well, as you know, as you already know, I filed 2 bills, one to do away with the employer mandate and another to do away with the individual mandate. If we could pass those 2 bills, that means the Democrats are going to have to sit down with us and work out health care in a way that doesn't bankrupt the country, which is what their bill's going to do. And I don't know really anybody, including many Democrats, who won't admit that it's a disastrous bill. It's going to cost us more than than it will benefit us, and in the end, it could bankrupt the country. It could certainly hurt this country very, very badly.
Well, it sounds, you know, I tell you, it sends a bad message to the American people that it's almost like a bad student cramming the night before an exam, is that you've all known about this. The American people are standing by, and I don't mean to be critical of you, sir, because I know that you and I have talked about this a number of times, but the Democrats who control the legislation going to the floor, they've known about this, and the Republicans before that since 2001, and you're pushing it right up to the line. And as a
result,
it makes you wonder, but the American people are sitting here waiting, asking Congress, give us some direction and do your job.
Well, keep in mind the Democrats took over Congress in 2006, so 4 years they've had to try and rectify this matter, and all they've done is push and push and push till they get this god-awful government-controlled health care system that isn't going to work, and they know it's not going to work. I know what's going to happen. If President Obama is reelected, he's going to throw his hands in the air and say, it's not working, we need to go to a single-payer system, in other words, socialized medicine, and have the almighty federal government run it all for us. Now, if we do that, my gosh, we deserve what we get. And I've got to say, we're not going to do that. And keep in mind, over the last 2 years, they've had overwhelming majorities in the House and the Senate. They could have solved these problems.
You could have gone to the floor.
You got
so we could have gone to the floor and be voted on.
That's right. You have 59 Democrats. I mean, my gosh, what more do you need?
There's more of our interview with Senator Hatch. To see the entire interview, go to GretaWire.com.